Welcome everyone to a very special Bring Your Daughter to Work Day version of our Wealth, Health, and Happiness interview series. I'm Andrew Rosen, and we have Isabella Lily Rosen, my middle daughter, and Aviva Jordan Rosen, and a very special guest. Would you like to introduce her, Isabella?
Yes. Her name, okay. Today we have a very special guest, Barbara Micheletti. Barbara
Thank you
Miss
MS
Gerontologist, is a 25-year gerontologist consultant with 13 years of experience as a business insurance advisor. As a gerontologist and a
aging expert.
Barbara's mission is to help financial and insurance professionals,
entrepreneurs,
and business leaders better serve their older and elderly clients.
All right, so thanks for joining us, Barb. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me,
Absolutely.
Andrew, and thank you for that introduction, Bella.
You're welcome.
Do you want to ask the first question like you said?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to understand.
Can you explain what gerontologist is and does?
Bella, that's an excellent question, and I would love to answer that because it's a field that, while it's been around since the early 1900s, it's really come to life in the 60s, 50s, even 70s. So a gerontologist is a person from a scientific background who scientifically studies the aging process in its totality, but we focus on the older and the elderly adults. Now, we look at them from a couple of different perspectives. We look at the aging process in older and middle-aged, older and elderly adults from a biological, psychological, sociological, physiological, and cultural perspective. And we're a little different from, you've probably heard of a geriatrician or a geriatric care nurse or a geriatric care manager or just geriatrics. Geriatrics is the medical piece of studying the aging process. So they go through regular medical school, and then they go on to their extra training of the diseases of an older person and an elderly person. We don't necessarily do that, although there are some people in our field who can be geriatric nurses and gerontologists as well.
Very interesting, right, ladies?
I didn't really get it, but yes.
Is there, Barb, is there a specific demographic that you study most where you think the studies really kick off?
Absolutely. Older adults, I started around age 40 up till the end. So middle-aged, older, elderly people, like your grandma, your grandpa, your mom and dad, your grandma, grandpa.
I was going to say, you threw me under the bus there, calling me an older adult. So we'll talk about that after the interview, Barb. So, okay. So help us understand how your experience as a gerontologist and former business insurance advisor, so you have some of my blood in you, led you to do what you're doing now and actually start this own company. How did that transition and enlightenment come?
Well, that's a really good question because we have life experiences, right? And so when I was a business insurance advisor for 13 years, the thing that struck me most was the common bond of my clients experiencing age-related money issues that I could only help them so far as an insurance agent. Here's an example. I was working with Jerry, who was a business owner, and he was a road construction company. He had owned it for 25 years. Nice guy. You know, I'm in Arizona. He's a cowboy hat, the blue jean, the black shiny ostrich leather boots, and all that. So he has this company, 25 years. One of his employees, his name is Bob, and he said, we were reviewing insurance policies one day. And then he looked at me and he said, Barb, you're a gerontologist and an insurance agent, right? And I said, yes. And he said, I want to tell you about my employee, Bob. He said, Bob is 69 years old. He's been my employee for 20 years. I'd do anything for him. But he said, Bob lost his wife last year, and he's never been the same since. He repeats himself. He forgets my name sometimes, and he drove our company truck into a wall twice. And he said, and I don't know what to do about it. And as you can imagine, I felt horrible. I'm watching Jerry describe the situation to me and looking for help beyond insurance. And that wasn't the only time that I had those kind of stories. So of course I jumped in as a non-practicing gerontologist to be able to create a cognitive plan for his employee Bob, and then for Jerry and for his company actually. But I felt like my hands were tied a lot because I had a lot of clients, thank goodness, not driving into walls, but I had a lot of clients have age related, and eventually I found out Bob had a lot of money issues as well, age related money issues. So that's one of the big reasons why I decided to enter into the field as a gerontologist, eventually consultant
Right. That was
to the financial services industry.
that was the light bulb moment. Take your experience in the insurance finance world, and it sounds like your passion in the elder gerontologist world, and really combine those forces. All right.
Exactly.
Then Aviva has a great follow-up question.
How do you help financial advisors, insurance advisors, entrepreneurs, etc., better serve their older clients?
Well, hi, Aviva, and thank you for that question. Happy to answer that. So what I do as a gerontologist consultant, and I'd even like to back up a moment and let's define older adults. So we have here in the United States, we have a difficult, if not impossible, time determining what's old or what's older, right? So you thought I was talking older as a 40-year-old. So when you think about it, at age 40, you're a protected workplace employee, right? Federal government. So now all of a sudden our age becomes an issue because now we're protected by the US government for ageism and things like that. Then we hit age 50 where we can join AARP, 55, we can live in an active adult retirement community, 59 and a half, as you know, we can withdraw penalty-free from a retirement account and so forth and so on, getting into Social Security and the required minimum distribution. So we have a difficult time defining what age is as a number. What I do as a gerontologist consultant, taking my 13 years as a former business insurance advisor, my 25 years as a gerontologist, and just my life experiences, and I help money professionals help their clients. So I work with the financial professionals to help their clients financially and emotionally plan in advance for age-related money issues, such as if you're married, what if your spouse develops dementia? Are you going to be a caregiver? Will you have the financial means to be the caregiver? Will you age in place at home? Do you have any type of a long-term care policy to age in place at home? Or maybe go into some sort of, maybe a memory care facility? Can you quit your job to be the caregiver? So where does that money come from? Or if you just simply become a caregiver, and I hear these stories a lot. If you're the adult child, and if you're fortunate enough to have your mom and dad still alive, I don't, mine passed decades ago. But if you do have that, you worry about your parents, right? So you think, well, what are they going to do? Am I going to be a future caregiver for my mom, my dad, or my grandma, my grandpa? Do they have the financial means to pay for their own care, right? Or do I need to plan as an adult child to help them financially as well? And it's most of the time financially. And Andrew, I bet you have a lot of stories on that.
No, for sure. Let me ask you, so when does someone best engage with you for your services? And then help me better crystallize what that work looks like. Because I think a lot of people here, a lot of our demographic probably fits who you most help, but let's define that for a moment for me, and then help me understand like that program. So you sit down, you probably have a meeting or two or three and create a plan. So help sort of educate us there.
Sure. So I do a few things. So one of my main, I've created what I call the Aging and Money Blueprint program. So it's a 6-module program that teaches financial and insurance professionals, quite frankly, how to become at a high level an aging expert, to better understand aging issues, the aging process, the aging issues of men, of women, and of couples, because they're all relatively different. And then how to identify what's normal and abnormal aging. So I encourage the professionals to go through that program. It's 6 modules at 6 hours. Then we also do coaching and training. Now, I also do public speaking, and I do sales presentations and coaching at registered investment advisory firms, asset management, and things like that. And
Right.
when you had said earlier, when do you start? I say start early. You cannot have these conversations because we don't die at age 95. We could pass or have a serious disability at age 30, at age 40. We don't know what life is going to throw at us. So we want to have the conversations in advance, primarily when everybody's cognitively healthy and physically healthy. Because when you lose your cognitive ability or any way through any means or some sort of a physical impairment in some capacity, it makes it more challenging to have those conversations with the entire family, to have everybody build consensus and come to the decisions of what your mom and dad, if you're working with your mom and dad or the adult children, to get everybody involved in the process early.
It makes total sense, and I can see I liken it kind of to people getting their estate plan or will in order. You don't have to wait till you're 1 foot in the grave to do it. It's better to be educated, to lay out that plan while you're healthy and can be thoughtful with it, and then be smart implementing. Oh,
Absolutely.
go ahead, Bella. You want to read this question?
We're always looking for ways to help our clients get on their path to wealth, health, and happiness. What's your best
Actionable
tip for someone in
entering.
their later years?
Bella, fabulous question, and you're doing a great job asking those questions. And can I point out to everybody here, what I just absolutely love about this interview with Andrew bringing his daughters here is I focus on older and elderly folks. As a gerontologist, having his young daughters here, I think is just absolutely fabulous. It's just great. It's just a great lifespan. So to answer your question, it is easy to answer that. And here's what you really want to focus on: your health. Because if you don't have your health, I mean, Bill Gates' father passed from dementia, Alzheimer's. Donald Trump's father passed from dementia, Alzheimer's. All the money in the world doesn't stop diseases. So if you focus on your health, and it's not just a paleo diet, it's not just a low calorie diet, it's not just a diet, it's diet and exercise. So it's your mental health and your physical health. So for example, I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is a martial art. Now, I started back in 2020 at my daughter. Speaking of daughters, she's in her 30s. So I practiced with her and her husband, who's a 6th-degree black belt. I started back in 2020. Here's the thing with martial arts, as far when we're still talking about health, right? Is you want to ideally, and this is where the scientific literature comes in at, ideally you want to have a mental and a physical connection when you're doing any type of an exercise. Yes, it's great to do weightlifting. Yes, it's great to do yoga, which is actually another really good mind-body exercise, but you need to combine it with a good diet. And so when you have that connection, ultimately and ideally what we want to do is be self-aware of our aging process, because we're fighting it every moment of every day. Even Aviva and Bella are aging. We just don't think about it in society that they're aging, right? In our society, we think, oh, age 65 and above, they're aging. This is not true. We're aging in the womb and then we're born. And so we're starting this aging process. We just don't think about it until later years. When you start younger, good health, good diet, exercise, taking care of your mind, you will have better health in your later years. So health is by far number one. Because I'm sorry, I wanted to say quickly, we want to maintain function as we grow older, and our function of our mind, our function of our body, to be able to take care of ourselves independently. And that's successful old aging.
I love it. So leave us with, before we tell everyone how to get in touch with you, leave us with your final tip that you want people to remember, besides focus on your health, which has been a theme with most people that I ask, really. How can take care of yourself so you can take care of others? But what's the last tip you would give? And then Aviva will send us out and ask you how we can get in touch with you.
I would think the last tip is to focus on the self-awareness of your own aging, and then to take it with a lot of gratitude, because we sometimes tend to look on the negative side of our life. And those who, again, the research is out there, those who focus on the positiveness of their aging and embrace it and control what they can control and realize what they can't control, which is our aging process, we can slow it down. When you have that gift of gratitude, mental gratitude, that can pay off in spades.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Aviva, what would you like to say?
Awesome, Barbara. Thanks for joining us today to help me get your message out.
Speak up.
To help get your message out and provide valuable advice to our clients and followers, can you help tell people where they can learn more about you and your programs?
Well, thank you, Aviva. That was fantastic. So my website is Interrupting Aging, my company name, Interrupting Aging. And you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn at Barbara Micheletti, or I have a Facebook as well, or you can simply email me at barbara@interruptingaging.com.
Awesome. And we'll share all that below when this airs for everyone. All right, Aviva, send us home, would you?
Thanks again, Barbara. And to our audience, if you enjoyed Barbara's message as much as I did, please share their message with someone you think would enjoy it. We'll include all of the links that we mentioned below as you stay wealthy, healthy, and happy.
Thank you so much.